Okay, here we go. Homework was 304, 2 through 14 even. I'm going to do 1 through 13 odd. Okay, so you've got x squared plus 9x plus 18. Remember, you're going to follow the steps of factoring. So step 1 says factor out the GCF. The three terms don't have anything in common, so you're good. Step 2 says that you're going to multiply the coefficient of the first term and the last term together. So you've got 1 times 18, which is 18. And then you're going to list those factors. So you've got 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6, and then that's as far as it goes. Okay? Then you're going to ask yourself, which of these could give me the middle term? So can 1 and 18 ever give me 9? No, never. So it's not that. Can 2 and 9 ever give me 9? No. Can 3 and 6 ever give me 9? Yeah, 3 plus 6 can give me 9. So I'm going to begin construction by drawing my parentheses. Okay, and then I put an X in the beginning of each one because of this X right here. X goes here and X goes here. Now remember your signs. If you're first, you always keep your first sign. So my first sign was plus, I keep it. If your first sign is plus, you keep your second sign. Remember, if you have a positive friend, you want to keep them in your life. Now, you always write your larger of the two numbers first. So 6 is larger than 3, so we're going to put 6 first. Then you look at your two binomials, and you see if either of them have anything in common. X and 6 don't have anything in common. X and 3 don't have anything in common, so I don't need to divide anything out. And then your last step is to FOIL to check to make sure that you have the right answer. So I'm going to distribute to check. Now this is my answer, okay? But I'm still going to check. So x times x times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 6 times x is 6x. And then 6 times 3 is 18. Combine your like terms. X squared plus 9x plus 18. You should get the same thing that you started with, which we did. So therefore, yes, this is your answer. So your answer is x plus 6 times x plus 3. Or x plus 3 times x plus 6. It's the same thing. Okay, so now we have x squared minus 12x plus 32. So step 1, make sure that there isn't a GCF to factor out. So out of my three terms, they don't have anything in common, so there's nothing I need to factor out. So then I'm going to multiply the coefficient of the first term and the last together. So 1 times 32 is 32. And then I'm going to list my factors of 32. So that's 1 times 32, 2 times 16, 3 doesn't go evenly, 4 times 8, 5 doesn't go evenly, 6 doesn't go evenly, so those are my only options, okay? So then I ask myself, can 1 and 32 ever give me 12? No. So it's not 1 and 32. Can 2 and 16 ever give me 12? No. So it's not 2 and 16. Can 4 and 8 ever give me 12? Yeah, 4 plus 8 is 12. So don't worry about your signs right now. Just 4 and 8 can give you 12. So now I'm going to begin construction. Draw your parentheses. Bring an X down. Put it in the front of both. Now remember, always keep your first sign. So your first sign is negative, so you're going to keep a negative. If your first sign is negative, you change your second sign. So since my first sign is negative, I change my second sign. It was positive, now I'm going to change it to negative. You always write your larger number first, so 8's larger than 4. Okay, so now we look at each binomial and see if they have anything in common. X and 8 don't have anything in common. X and 4 don't have anything in common, so I don't need to divide anything out. Now you're going to distribute to check. X times x is x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. Negative 8 times x is negative 8x, and negative 8 times negative 4 is positive 32. Combine your like terms. You got the same thing we started with, so yes, this is your answer. Okay, let's do the process again. Do the three terms have anything in common? They do not. So we're going to multiply the coefficient of your first term with your last one. Ignore signs. So 1 times 24 is 24. So we have, list them out, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6, and that's all of them. So which set is going to give me 10? 1 and 24? No. 2 and 12 could. 3 and 8? No. 4 and 6 could. So we need to be careful here. It could be either one. So we're going to begin construction. I've got x and x. Always keep your first sign. Plus, if your first sign is positive, you keep your second sign. So we're going to keep the minus. So let's try 12 and 2. So always put your larger number first. Okay, now this is how we're going to check to see if it's correct. You're going to distribute. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. 12 times x is positive 12x. And 12 times negative 2 is negative 24. Combine your like terms. You get x squared plus 10x minus 24. That's actually what we started with, so this is the correct answer. Now, had you used 6 and 4, you would not have, when you FOILed to check, you would not have gotten the right answer. So be careful. All right, that's why you must FOIL to check. Or just, okay. Three terms do not have a GCF, so I'm going to look at the coefficient of the first times 24. So 1 times 24 is 24. Remember, right now we're ignoring the signs. So we've got 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. Okay? So which one's going to give me 2? Not 1 and 24, not 2 and 12, not 3 and 8, must be 4 and 6. So we're going to begin construction. Put our x's. Always keep your first sign. If your first sign is negative, you change your second sign. So it was negative, now we're changing it to positive. Always write your larger number first. 6 is larger than 4. Look at your binomial. Okay. See if there's anything that they have in common. X and 6 don't have anything in common. X and 4 don't have anything in common. So now I'm just going to check. X times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. Combine your like terms. That is what I started with, so this is my answer. Okay. All right. Now this one's a little bit different because you notice we actually have a coefficient in front of x squared that isn't a 1. Okay? But we've got 3x squared, negative 18x, and 24. So in this one we actually can factor out a GCF. It's 3. So we're going to factor out a 3, and we're left with x squared minus 6x plus 8. Okay? Now we're just going to factor what's left inside. So we've got our 3 out in front, and we're just going to deal with what's inside now. So you're dealing with 1 times 8. So I want the factors of 8, which are 1 and 8, and 2 and 4. And which one's going to give you 6? 1 and 8 or 2 and 4? 2 and 4, right? So now we're going to do our construction here. We've got x and x. Keep your first sign. If your first sign is negative, you change your second sign. So it was positive, now it's negative. Always write your larger number first. Okay? So now look at your binomials, see if they have anything in common. X and 4 do not. X and 2 do not. Okay? now we're going to check to make sure this is correct. So you can do this a couple different ways. First, you can either distribute the 3. So we do 3x minus 12. And then distribute the binomials to each other. So then you get 3x squared minus 6x minus 12x plus 24. Combine your like terms, you get 3x squared minus 18x plus 24, which is what we started with. So then that means this is your answer. Okay, that's a 3. It's hard to read that. Okay. Alright, so looking at this, let's see if there's a GCF we can factor out. Alright, we can definitely pull out a 4. And then we can, they don't have an x in common, but they have a z in common. So that leaves me with x squared plus 7x plus 10. Okay. So now in order to factor the inside, we're multiplying 1 times 10. So I need the factors of 10, which are 1 and 10, and 2 and 5. Which one's going to give me 7, 2, and 5? So leave my 4z out front. Go ahead and begin my construction. I've got x and x. Keep your first sign. If your first sign is positive, you keep your second sign. Write your larger number first. And now we're going to go ahead and FOIL to check. So distribute the 4z. So you get 4xz plus 20z. And then we're going to multiply that times x plus 2. Or you can multiply the two binomials together and then distribute the 4z, however you want to do it. Now this is going to become 4x squared z plus 8xz plus 20xz plus 40z. So combine your like terms. You get 4x squared z plus 28xz plus 40z. So that is what we started with. So this is your answer. Everything down here is you just checking your work, which is extremely important. Okay, the first thing you're going to do here is you're going to factor out a 2, leaving x squared minus 12x minus 32. Okay? So you're going to multiply 1 times 32. So you've got 32, and your factors are 1 and 32, 2 and 16, and 4 and 8. So what's going to give you 12? Not 1 and 32, not 2 and 16, 4 and 8. So leave the 2 out front. Begin your construction. Okay, your x and your x. Always keep your first sign. If your first sign is negative, you change your second sign. And then write your larger number first. So let's go ahead and multiply the two binomials together to show that it works either way. So you've got 2, and then you've got x squared plus 4x minus 8x minus 32, which is 2 times x squared minus 4x minus 32. Distribute 2, you get 2x squared minus 8x minus 32. Uh-oh, that's not what we started with. So that's bad. So let's go ahead and distribute the 2 and see if that makes a difference. So if I say 2x minus 16, and then we multiply that times x plus 4, let's see what that gives us. So then we've got 2x squared plus 8x minus 16x minus, what is 16 times 4? Minus 64. Okay. So you've got 2x squared minus 8x minus 64. Oh, and I'm sorry, this should be 64 right here if I distribute the 2, but it still doesn't work. So this also doesn't work. So what that means is that when you go back up here, that all you can do with this problem is factor out a 2. And that is as factorable as this gets. Because this trinomial right here is not any more factorable. So the answer for number 13 is just factoring out that 2. Alright, you guys have a great night and see you tomorrow.